I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 41. My older daughter was in class 12, my younger daughter was in class 5. So that was my biggest challenge, the two girls going to school, handling them in a way that this whole thing doesn't affect them.
I was around 50, I had this flourishing career, I had a son who was taking the board exams, and my first thought when I heard that I had breast cancer was, this is a very inconvenient moment.
Until the time I really had the reports in my hand, I couldn't believe it could happen to me. So the feeling and the reality to sink in, it took a couple of hours.
My maternal grandmother had, so we all, me and my sisters, we were very conscious about getting ourselves screened. I've been getting myself screened once I turned 40. I just discovered a small little lump which I felt was not right, and I thought it needed to be interrogated further.
Two of my sisters had this trouble, so I was very cautious and aware of it. So I wanted to get it detected, and so we went to the doctor, and my daughter, she's very particular. She took me, and so they detected it, and it has just started. So early detection is very important.
My sister, she actually was diagnosed with cancer in the second stage, but she was detected. She found a lump under her armpit, and then she went in for the diagnosis and all that. So that's how it was detected, and she was treated, but subsequently she could not survive the cancer. Once she was diagnosed with it, then I was advised that I should also start doing it, since it is a family history. So I started going too. So I have been doing it every year, and it is over the years. It was detected in the first stage itself. I could come out of it.
In 2010, that a tiny little dot was seen. To be very sure that it was not a cyst, we had an FNAC done. I would like to mention that FNAC is a very normal procedure. It doesn't hurt. It's just a little prick of a needle, so nobody need to fear about it. And unfortunately, that turned out to have a malignant result.
I was diagnosed with the ovarian cancer some 26 years ago, and I had a pan-hysterectomy. It was at an early stage, this diagnosis, but the reason why I went for this screening is because I have a family history of ovarian cancer, and my mother and several other members of the larger family. So that's what alerted me, and I just decided to have screening.
I had the chemo, I had the radiation, I had the hair fall, I had the nausea, I had everything that was there with it. But it always seemed to me that it would pass.
One had the 8 chemos, and here again I would like to stress that one had a lot of apprehension about the chemos, what would happen. I mean, one thought that immediately after you would be puking and so on and so forth, and I think it's really very much a case-to-case basis, and these days they prepare you very, very well. I mean, you get all the anti-nausea medicines, you get the painkillers, etc., etc. So I was laughing and chatting right through, and yes, there are some little bit of side effects. I mean, you do feel tired.
Of course, I went into surgery and later into radiotherapy, but I avoided chemotherapy altogether because of the fact that the lesion was so small and it was caught so early.
The other thing is get creative, because as I said, the chemo, the treatment, it throws up all kinds of challenges. There are all kinds of side effects. So say for instance, mouth sores. Okay, so you can't eat, that's okay, you can't eat. What are the liquids you can imbibe? What's going to sustain you through the days or the day or whatever it is? And you just get creative. I was almost tempted to write a book on foods you can eat, menus to prepare and things like that when you have mouth sores, when you have some other problems. It was so inspiring.
You go to the hospital, you see other patients, then it comes as a shock that, that you also have to go through all that. But then it registered that no, you have to go through it and you have to be very balanced about it. And so we just, and my husband was the biggest support and he was there like a rock all the time.
Well, initially yes, it was a bit of a shock. Why did it happen to us? But then you gradually accept it. Main thing is acceptance.
I think the first most important thing in my opinion is that she has to be strong-willed and she has to have a positive attitude. And another thing that I firmly believe in is what I call the 3 F's. That's faith, faith in yourself, in your body, faith in your God, family and friends, and a strong will. You can fight anything.
You have to be very, very, very strong mentally to be able to fight out cancer. One of you has to win, either the cancer or you. So it's your call. Do not let the cancer win.
Mostly it was about managing not the treatment, but making sure that somebody was with my mother all the time. So that you're not alone for medical or emotional reasons. And as far as emotional support is concerned, we were not left alone for a minute, not a minute.
I would like to say that we as Indian women, we don't pay much attention to ourselves. So I think we need to listen to what our body tells us. Because when there is a problem within the body, there are signs which we tend to ignore. So I feel that is very important. You must listen to what your body says and go for the right kind of checkups. And when anything is detected, just take it head on.
Everyone knows that there is breast cancer, it's rampant these days, right? But what you should do, whether you should self-examine or go for your regular checkups and so on, they know, but I think there's a certain laziness, or you're shying away from the possibility, or I was lazy about it too.
I think I have come across a lot of women who avoid screening because they are scared to find something. I would say twice lucky. One, that I went at the time that I did. Two, that even if I had a lump, it was a really tiny one.
I'll be talking about my wife, Anjali, who couldn't make it, but I'd like to share her story, a lot of lessons I learned, and some messages, not just for people, but for doctors as well. She was only about 29 or 30 when she was diagnosed, and there was a little lump in her breast. And like everybody, we go to a gynecologist who is in the family. So we went to a family known doctor. We felt a little more comfortable and the trust. And when we went, she felt it, and it was a small one, and she said, I think this is hormonal and it will go with time. You don't need to worry. So she meant very well for us. But after some time, it just grew and we were a little worried. And after about 8 months or 6 months maybe, we checked it again, it had grown, and she said, okay, you're just too young to get cancer. So you're too young to have cancer. It's just a lump. It's not malignant. We'll get a mammograph done in any case. So she prescribed a mammograph, and sure enough, there was a lump, but they ruled cancer out. But we were a little worried, and by the time we got the proper FNAC done, and it was diagnosed, that it was cancer after all. So the very next day, she was advised a surgery because it had spread to 2 more places within the system, but it was within the breast. So they advised a removal of the breast. So it wasn't the first stage, it was actually the second stage, and we got the breast removed immediately, followed by chemotherapy, radiation. Now, when it is terminal, a lot of people would give you a lot of messages like, you know what, go to this Baba in the Himalayas, they will give you this pudiya, just have it, it vanishes in a minute. Now, this is scary because I being not really, I wouldn't call myself the top end, but educated enough from a science background, an engineer, not a medical, but I got sucked into it. And for some time I was actually entertaining thoughts of going, wondering how I could take her. And there are so many stories. This Baba gives you this, This Baba just puts a fish with something into it and just swallow it up, and you know, the stories are so appealing that you feel, God, anything to save a life. Now, I think that is something we've got to be very rational about and stop doing all those things. And if it was so true, there would be hospitals in their names. I think we should just be aware that please don't burden with all these stories. I think what you really need is a lot of love and happiness. Coming back to my diagnosis stage, I have a little message to the doctors. The first time this doctor, though she was a friend, diagnosed Anjali, she had a lump and she ruled out any scanning or FNAC just because she's only 29, 30. For God's sake, she's not going to have cancer. But she did, right? Doctors, please do not neglect women, especially with lumps, at any age.
Cancer is growing at an alarming rate. In fact, in the last 10 years, it's overtaken oral cancer as the #1 cancer in the world. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, they state that 115,000 cases are being diagnosed with breast cancer in India. And this is when we don't have statistics from rural India. Unfortunately, the Lancet states that only 52% of these women actually survive beyond 5 years. And this pales in contrast to China at 82% and the developed world at 89%. This is only the tip of the iceberg. The bomb has already exploded. How are we going to handle it? In our country, younger and younger women are being diagnosed with breast cancer. Whereas in countries like Singapore, Australia, the US, and even China, screening starts at 40 years, which means routine screening by mammography. In our country, we have 3 problems. 1, lack of awareness. The second is absence of screening programs. And third is no quality control.
Mammography still remains the gold standard world over. However, in young women with a high risk group, MRI has been introduced as a screening modality. Because of the young women, you have a dense breast where sometimes the mammography becomes, it doesn't pick up small lesions very well. So that is the reason that we want MRI to be included as a screening modality. In younger group, we also recommend ultrasound because younger women have more milk glands, which gives a dense pattern on mammogram. Hence, small lesions can be hidden by a mammogram, so we also do an ultrasound. However, still in the younger woman, mammogram is also important because microcalcification, which also represents early breast cancer, is only picked up by a mammogram and no other modality. Whenever the patient comes to us from rural area, they are either in a stage 3 or in a stage 4. 2 reasons, social reasons, they don't want to tell anyone, and secondly, even if they want to tell, there are hardly any facilities available to detect these cancers.
The impression in the general public is the gynecologist deals with only the gynae problems. Contrary to this opinion, what is seen that the gynecologist is the primary physician for a breast cancer disease, and with the gynecologist, the disease is at that stage when it can be curable, and that's why. And why is it so? Why is it so? Because a woman in general, in India as well as all over the world, wants to go to a female doctor to get the breast examined. So whether it is a general physician or it is a gynecologist, that is the first doctor for that woman. And when she examines the breast, it is maybe a later stage or even in an initial stage. So the diagnosis and the treatment depends with that doctor who sees, and it is mostly a gynecologist.
The initial fear is of the side effects. Will I be able to cope up with this treatment? Will I be able to afford the treatment? And once the treatment starts, most women would be able to tolerate it. It isn't as bad as it sounded initially. But then, at that point of time, the problems that they're facing in coping up with their day-to-day life, their children going through an examination, their own careers, their husband's job, the leave that they have to take in order to make these multiple hospital visits. Their entire day-to-day life goes for a, there are major changes in that to be made, and that becomes very, very challenging.
There are many high-risk women who can get breast cancer. BRCA1 and BRCA2 are genetic mutations which are known to cause breast cancer, and they are inherited. So BRCA1, BRCA2, if it is inherited, a woman is on a very, very high risk for getting breast cancer, which to the extent of 50% to 80%. There are 4 options to this woman. One is that she goes in for a very intense screening for both breast and ovarian cancer, by which I mean she may need to do mammograms every 6 monthly and MRI every 6 monthly, clinical breast examination every 6 monthly, and a breast self-examination, and if she has the slightest of symptoms, she must report to the doctor. This does not prevent, but this makes early detection. And early detection can be a cure also after the treatment. The second option is to have a bilateral oophorectomy, by which I mean removal of both the ovaries. Earlier they are removed, after you completed your family, the better it is. Oophorectomy reduces the risk of getting breast cancer by 50% and of course 100% for the ovarian cancer. The third option for a woman is to take some hormones. These are called anti-estrogen, because as we said, estrogen causes breast cancer. So if you take these anti-estrogens, you reduce the incidence of breast cancer by another 50 to 60%. And last but not the least is to undergo bilateral mastectomies, by which I mean removal of both the breasts, removal of both the ovaries, so that your risk of getting breast cancer obviously comes down to almost 2 to 3%, and ovarian risk is reduced by 99%. Angelina Jolie case is well known, and her open discussion in the media, in the print, in the visible media did create a lot of awareness, and I think we need more women of such courage to come forward and say, look, I have an inherited risk and this is what I've done.
Whenever any woman comes to me for the first time, whether we pick up anything or not, I always tell her that the best way to spread this awareness is, please motivate 5 women for screening. And if we start doing that, if we join hands, I think we'll have a huge number of population which will be educated on screening program.
I did feel that I needed to do something so that it wouldn't define my life. I said I need to define how I live my life with cancer, not the cancer defining my life.
I'm very proud to say that today I don't feel as if I ever had breast cancer. I feel as if it was some external lump which was just removed and I'm just carrying on with life as normal, in fact better.
Facts we cannot ignore. Breast cancer is curable if detected early. Breast cancer can strike at any age. Even young women who develop a lump or any change in the breast must get medical advice immediately. Only 5% of the women who develop breast cancer have the BRCA1 and BRCA2 gene mutation. Women who have developed cancer in one breast and those who have a mother, sister or daughter with breast cancer are at high risk. The treatment of breast cancer is not as painful as most people believe. The support of family and friends is extremely important. Each survivor must motivate her female relatives to go in for regular screening. All women above the age of 40, even those without any risk factors, must go in for regular screening.